Hey everybody, welcome to Anti-Workers United. Today we have an AMA with Vemate. So let's get started by having the team introduce yourselves. Andre and any other team members you have. You guys could talk about your history, about who your team is composed of, how you guys got together on this project, and then we'll go from there.
Right, so it will just be me on this occasion, and I'll explain because I'm the founder of the project. I'm the man who came up with the idea, and I'm the person who has financed it up until this point. Just to give you a bit of context about myself, I'm an entrepreneur. I have a marketing and an IT development business in the United Kingdom, and those are the companies that are supporting the project at the moment. Those companies are working on developing this project further, and they're the ones that build it. One important aspect to note is that the IT company specializes in the automation of highly complex processes. We've done this many times before, and we've decided to use that expertise for this project itself. That's pretty much everything about myself at this point. We can potentially move on to the talking about the project if you'd like.
Well, I want to know more about the actual team because I see you guys have a big team.
That makes sense. So let me just go through the team really quickly. I kind of overlooked that. So we have a fairly substantial team. Almost all of them have been with us from the beginning. Especially the development side has 32 people, I think, and I think another 15 contractors. But we're getting more people on board these days, and we've changed a few things. So I might not be giving you the most accurate number, but in terms of development, that's what we have. When it comes to marketing, I think we have about 15 people, and then we have several more in management. The way this has gone down, like I said, a lot of people have come from my IT development company, and the rest I have, in a sense, collected along the way, and reached out and managed to get in contact with them, people with experience, advisors, and moderators, marketing people, to try to get on board. And if you look on our website, you'll see that most of them have their information about the qualifications that they have, studies, and most have their LinkedIn accounts there. And you can find out more about what their skills are and what they can do.
So most of these guys are. Oh yeah, by the way, don't forget to mute yourself. So most of these guys are from your actual real life company. Everyone's KYC docs. I see everyone has LinkedIn, right? And also you guys are registered, I believe. Is there registration information on the website anywhere, or do you have that info?
Yes, if you go on the website and if you go in the footer, you'll find all the information about the company registration info.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I see it at the bottom over there. Okay, awesome. So let's move on to the project itself. I think this was actually fairly easy because you guys are all basically docs, KYC, so there's no issues there. Like concerning the team and everything, it's 100% transparent. So that is great. So now we can easily move on to the project itself. So now you want to go get started with the presentation or whatever you have, like the pitch, I guess.
Just a bit of warning. Once I get started, it's difficult for me to stop, so there'll be quite a bit of talking, I guess. But I'll try to keep it as succinct and as simple as possible so that everybody can comprehend what we're trying to do and the magnitude of it as well. I'm not going to try to trump it up by using hyperboles. I don't believe in that. I believe in letting the work speak for itself, and this is how I like to do business. One more mention: we're also KYC'd on top of the fact that we're fully doxed. We've also KYC'd ourselves, so that's also an aspect. Now, to get down to the description of the app and the project itself, actually. Because we have such ambitious goals for this project, we've decided to break it down into surmountable chunks because they would have been not very well received, in my opinion, if we had gone directly for the second stage app, which we're looking to do. So in the first stage, we have developed this app, which was developed prior to even us launching the project back in April. So on the 5th of April, the app was launched on the Play Store, and it took a few days on the App Store because they're much fussier. And they like to take their time when you launch an app there, and they like to nitpick things. We're always having issues with them, even when we roll out updates. So we've actually had the product developed. It was important for me, being an entrepreneur, to have a product before I rolled it out, because I did not believe in selling people a promise. I wanted to have a product first and show what we could do before we moved on to actually holding a private sale. And the private sale was mostly held because I could have financed the project myself, but it was mostly held for validation. We wanted to make sure that our idea makes sense, and people actually like what we're doing, and they think it's a good idea, and it's not, we wouldn't have committed ourselves in the long term for something, and then we build and we launch, and then it turns out that nobody wants it, so it wouldn't make any sense. So what we did is we held that private sale back then. We filled it in 2 days from rolling out the marketing. We raised $250,000, and then we started working on the ecosystem, on the project, to try to build as much as possible and create partnerships and get into places that could enable us to take our project and turn it into the business that we want. Because as opposed to a lot of other projects that we've encountered, and I'm sure are encountered often in the space, we do not think in terms of, oh yeah, I'm just going to get this token, I'm going to pump it, or whatever happens, and then I'm just going to focus on the token. Our main goal is to create a viable business here, and that is how we've approached this matter. Now, without further ado, I'm going to start discussing the stage 1 app, which is already launched, and I'm going to describe what it is. In a nutshell, it's a sort of a trading view for VeVe NFTs. Now, you may not know what some of you may not know what VeVe NFTs are, but I can tell you that also. So VeVe is the largest marketplace for premium licensed collectibles in the world. At ATH, Ecomi, the mother company of VeVe, was worth $3.77 billion. Now, obviously, the bear market has an influence on what goes on, and it may not always be the case so it may not still be the case that is the value of the company, but I am certain it will go back up there because they are an incredibly solid project. They have exclusive, actually, I'm not sure if they're exclusive, but they have contracts with Disney. And when I say Disney, I mean Marvel, Avengers and things like that. So think about the comic books that you see on the History Channel being traded all the time and sold, those 1970s, 60s, 50s, 80s comic books that people buy and sell there, and they get valued. This is kind of what gets sold on VeVe, but under the form of NFTs. So that is what the first stage app does. It's a sort of a trading view for that. And I'm sure all of you know about trading view because it's something that all of us use, and anybody who's in crypto knows what that is and how important it is for what you do. Well, this is what our app called Vemate is going to do for VeVe users. But it's very important to note that this is not our main goal. It is part of our main goal, but it is not the complete goal of what we're aiming to do, in case anybody gets put off. So we're not actually an NFT project, contrary to what might appear. We're a hybrid crypto NFT project, and it will all make sense by the time I get to the end. So the rationale was we create this app, we make it indispensable to VeVe users. VeVe in February said that they have 2.4 million users. Now, obviously, the bear market has had an impact on that, and I'm sure not many are active, and they've taken other measures which may have reduced that number of users, but still they will have a very significant amount of users. And our rationale was that we want to get people to sign up onto this app, and the reason why is because we are going to ask them, once we launch, once we list as well on a DEX, to hold $100 in Vemate tokens for them to be able to use the app and use the premium version of the app. And the reason why they want to do that is because we offer some unique tools that nobody else currently offers. That's one. to VeVe, although it's an amazing project, an amazing app, because they have to ensure the security of all this, because what they have there is of incredible value. So they cannot afford to have any security risks, and it's incredibly secure. It's like the Fort Knox of apps and marketplaces. They cannot, introduce some of these tools. And at the moment, it's a bit difficult for VeVe users to find a good deal. They have to scroll through it because they don't have the sorting functions that they want, and they don't have the alarm functions that they need. So what we've come up with was to create this app that allows people to set alarms for prices for mint numbers, because NFTs are minted in series, like one from 1 to 20,000, and the lower the mint number, the higher the value as well. They could have sorting tools. They could have price value, portfolio value calculation tools. So we've got that as well, and many other things. We're updating the app constantly, and we've actually built it with feedback straight from the community and from people who are users of the app, and we are also users of the app, so we pretty much know what they want, and that's the phase one.
I have a question about the app. I was seeing on App Store the reviews, and most people were saying that they couldn't register. Has that been fixed?
Oh yeah, that was actually upon launch. We've had actually not upon launch. This was something that I was going to mention afterwards. What we've managed to do is we've managed to get an API agreement with VeVe themselves and a partnership agreement with their mother company, Ecomi. What happened is they announced this partnership, and when that happened, we had such a large influx of people signing up at the same time, thousands of people, that it actually crashed our servers. So that's what the issue was back then, but that was fixed in like 2 hours. But there were just a few people who were upset at the beginning, obviously, because they were curious to find out what it was. But because we've had such a large number of people signing up, we had to do that, and it took us 2 hours to upgrade the servers to make sure that everybody can sign up. That's one thing. You feel free to download the app. It's very easy to do. It's very interactive. A lot of VeVe users are using it at the moment, and we're getting our data straight from VeVe. Now, we have about 7,000, actually close to 8,000 now. I think I can say 8,000 users on the app, and we're growing by about 1,000 each week. Ever since the announcement with Ecomi came out that we are partnered with them. And what that means is that we will keep growing. We've got some plans to roll out more functionalities to attract more people to the project. And we were brainstorming some marketing ideas today to do that. And why that is important, the reason I'm talking so much about it, is because the VeVe users will be the ones who purchase the tokens, because they can purchase $100 worth of tokens to be able to access the premium version of the app. Why? Because they've got, they're able to flip the NFTs, flip one NFT, and they'll make 3 times that in just one deal, thanks to the app, if that makes sense. So they'll have to hold $100 in Vemate tokens or $200 in Omi tokens as part of the partnership we have with Ecomi to be able to access it. And they don't have to stake it or anything. They just have to freehold it in their wallet, so they can always sell it. There's no restriction on that. It's just that they will lose access to it, to the app, if they do that. Now, think about this. Let's say out of the 2.4 million, 50% sign up. Let's say 1 million, not 50%, less than that. And I'm using 1 million because it's easier for me to calculate, not because this may happen. It's actually the likely number is probably going to be lower, but still, it will still be significant. So think about 1 million people sign up, and let's pretend they all sign up and they hold Vemate tokens to access the app, even though some of them will hold Omi tokens as well. That's $100 times 1 million, and that's $100 million. And this is just for the utility of it. So these people are not interested in trading that token. They just want the token for the utility the app brings them. because they say, I mean, a lot of people who have signed up, they say, well, I don't know how we've done trading before, because this is indispensable now. So, the same way TradingView is for a lot of crypto traders. So that is why this is important, because it offers us an upward trend in theory. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed after we launch, after we list, because we'll get more people signing up, and we'll do various things to ensure that more people sign up. And it will also ensure stability in the marketplace. It will give us some sort of insulating buffer against fluctuations, against bear markets, against things like that, because people will still want that utility. I don't think a lot of crypto traders cancel their TradingView subscription in bear market. I mean, some may do, but they'll get back in. So yeah, so that's stage one, and it's already live. We've already built it. We built it before anything else. We have the partnership with Ecomi and the API agreement with their subsidiary, with their NFT platform, VeVe. That's one. The reason we were able to get this partnership is because we did our job, we were transparent, we acted in good faith, and we acted professionally, which is something that I believe, because this is why it was important for me to do things in a certain way, so that I can bring some professionalism to the industry, and also, demonstrate that to the people we work with. But this is not all. So now we're moving on to stage two, and this is going to be where things get very interesting. It may sound a bit generic at first, but wait for it until the end, and then you'll see that it stands out from the rest. So the second stage platform will be an NFT, a holistic NFT marketplace. And I know it sounds like a pretentious word, holistic, but I'll explain what that means and why that's important later on. And it will combine a sort of a CoinMarketCap, TradingView, and a sort of a Binance all in one. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know what Binance is, and you know how successful it is. It dwarfs the next best thing when it comes to centralized exchanges, or any exchange for that matter. The reason for that was because they took the crypto industry and they made it very simple to enter. So they made it so simple that anybody can get in. And this is our goal as well with what we're going to do. We're going to lower the barriers into the NFT trading world so much that anybody can enter. And now we have added advantages on top of Binance, because they've had to build their market from the ground up. We have existing markets available. And what I mean by that is that the NFT world, if you look at the largest blockchains, you're looking at about 2 to 3 million holders. And I know it sounds little. There are smaller blockchains, but I didn't take those into account. But there were researchers who looked at the end of 2021, and they said on Ethereum, there were 381,000 holders, just so you can get an idea. And so you've got this market of 2 to 3 million, and you've got the crypto market of 300 million, but crypto traders aren't interested in going into NFTs. And I'm sure you know that very well, because most of you are probably crypto traders, and it's very difficult for you to get into the NFT trade because there's a steep learning curve. You don't know what to buy, who to buy, what to sell it for, how to determine what's worth buying and what's worth selling. Our platform aims to mitigate all that. And the way it's going to do it is by bringing these three modules together, the sort of a CoinMarketCap, TradingView, and Binance, a sort of a Binance, but for NFT trading, all together into one. And there will be an educational assistant to teach you. But again, this is all generic. This is nothing too grand, nothing too great. So that's not the main thing. The main thing is the following. Crypto users will be able to get into the NFT trade without learning anything new. You won't need any new skill whatsoever. You'll be able to get into this market without having to study anything. You can just get in and start trading the same volume trades that you do in cryptocurrency. And the way that is going to happen is the following. Let's pretend Bob. We'll just use Bob as a case study. So Bob is an artist, and he wants to get onto the platform, but he went on OpenSea and he went on other large platforms. He listed his NFTs, but nobody's buying them. Nobody's buying them because even though there are lots of talented people out there, you need a bit of luck sometimes, to get noticed. You need to hustle, and even when you hustle and you struggle and you do your best to try to reach out, to connect, network, that's still not enough. People still don't notice you, and you never take off. Well, that's a pain point that we will solve for the artist, because they can come onto our platform, they can create their NFT, and they'll have a sort of a space for them, a workshop. Think about the Facebook feed page, if you will. I'm only using it as an analogy. It's not going to look like that, but it helps me exemplify and help make you visualize it. So you have that feed page. He can use that to promote himself, much in the same way people use Facebook to promote themselves, especially nowadays, with social media, how much people are promoting themselves and so on. So the artist will have that, and we will provide that platform where he can promote, or they can promote themselves to a very wide audience through our partners. We're going to have partnerships with various institutions, establishment projects, to make sure that they get a lot of exposure. Obviously, there will be implications to what they do. That's one. Two, let's say they promote themselves, but that's not the cherry on top. The cherry on top is that Bob can, let's pretend he'll create 100 tokens, a collection. And he takes that 100 tokens and he locks them in a vault. And he decides, well, I want to lock them in a vault so I can fractionalize these tokens. And he'll create 100 million fractions. And then he tokenizes it by clicking a few times. He'll build a smart contract, and voila, he gets a tokenized smart contract of 100 million token supply. Now, he has that. He just needs to have liquidity. So he can either add that himself or themselves, himself if he has it. I forgot I was referring to Bob. Or he can hold a seed round. Now, we have some partnerships with launchpads, with reputable launchpads. We are in talks with them to work with them on this aspect, and we may well be working with them in the future. So he tokenizes it. Bob lists eventually. He lists on the market, and then suddenly his NFT collection is no longer 100 strong, it's 100 million strong, and people can come in and there'll be volatility, they'll be able to trade. And this doesn't stop there. Once a user reaches 1 million tokens purchased, they can redeem an NFT, a random NFT from the vault. And they can redeem that NFT in exchange for the 1 million tokens. And a percentage of those tokens is going to get burned, and the rest goes back into the ecosystem to be redistributed via staking pools, or depending on what how the artist configures their ecosystem. So they will have some freedom to do that. This will go on until the last NFT. The last NFT will not be redeemable. That will always stay there. Liquidity builds up in the project against it. And what's very important is that, in theory, the value of the liquidity that builds up in that project, that is against one single NFT in the vault, is going to also influence the price of all the other NFTs that were redeemed. So imagine if you let's say the first person who buys 1 million tokens paid $100 for those tokens, and by the time you get to number 99, you've got about $10 million of liquidity in that project. In principle, that $10 million is going to be the ballpark figure. Obviously, it may not be the same. It could be a bit lower, but it will still have a massive impact on it, of every single NFT that was taken out of the vault, that was redeemed. And then that project is just going to behave like a normal crypto project at that point. So up until that point, you've got redemption, you've got burning, so it will still increase in value. And you've got, you can redeem these NFTs, which you can then sell, obviously. And then you may wonder, how will I be able to sell these NFTs since I'm a crypto trader and I don't know anything about it? Well, remember when I used that fancy word holistic? Well, that platform, you can go in on it, and it will have a sort of a coin market cap and a sort of a trading view, and it will have an educational assistant. So it will take you through the gauntlet of all the things that you need to learn. It will give you, obviously will not tell you what to do, but it will give you all the tools necessary for you to decide what to do. So you will learn the ins and outs, if you will, of the NFT world. If you do not, if you never become interested in doing that, you don't have to. You can just trade those fractional NFTs forever, and you never have to redeem an NFT. But what this does, in principle, if you think about it, is when that NFT project, fractional NFT project, gets listed, there will be a massive, massive hype, because everybody will rush to redeem an NFT when it's at its lowest value, knowing that over time it will grow in value. especially because through the ecosystem that they create via their page or via their workshop, the artists can give a lot more value, and they can bring more utility to the token. They can bring more utility to the NFT as well, that's how you can do it. And what this means for the crypto NFT world means that this is going to be the only bridge that exists right now between the 300 million strong crypto market and the 2 to 3 million strong NFT market. Just to give you some context in terms of numbers of revenue, OpenSea in 2021 was able to generate $14 billion of revenue with a simple 2.5% marketplace transaction fee and 500,000 users. Now imagine if OpenSea was able to do that with 500,000 users. Imagine what we could do if we allow 300 million users to get in. I mean, even if 10 million sign up, even if 1 million, the potential is limitless in terms of what we can achieve. Because one, we solve a pain point for the artist. They can get better promoted. They can make more money because this system will allow them to make more money. And two, we will save a pain point for a lot of crypto users who maybe have been frustrated by the NFT world. Maybe they tried to look at it and they just couldn't get it, and they were prevented from going into it by various barriers. But we're going to remove that or mitigate them as much as possible. And that's exactly what our stage 2. And as you can see, it's quite ambitious because I did mention Binance, I did mention all of that. So that is why we have a step-by-step plan. And that is why we already have the step one, the stage 1 product, and it's already launched, it's already fully functional, and we're rolling updates all the time. Now, this is not everything though, because we have, you may wonder, what sort of reasons you may have to trust us, what sort of, what do we bring to the table? Well, first of all, think about this. We have a genuinely original project. I was told by somebody at Unicrypt is one of the launch pads we're holding our pre-sale on. They just said, wow, when I said that. And they told me, normally you see an idea like this, you see a lot of copy-paste projects, and they marginally improve on what the other did last time. They just bring an additional improvement. They change one thing, or most of them are just simply copy-paste. But he said that this one is the first purely original project that they saw, because nobody else has done this. This is something that I conjured up by doing hours of research, speaking to a lot of people, getting a lot of information, and so on and so forth, and speaking to my development team. So it's not my credit. I'm the one who seeded it, if you will. I was able to get it to where it is now with the help of my team and the help of all the advisors that we've worked with. But that's not all. Besides the partnership that we have with that $3.77 billion company at ATH, which is massive, by the way, and they are amazing people. In terms of business world, I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade, and I've never dealt with anybody who was nicer and better than these people have been to us as well, and so transparent and open and generous to have been willing to work with us, not having proven ourselves as yet, but giving us a chance to prove ourselves. They were really good to us in that sense. Now, we also have a Certic Audit. We have a KYC, like I said earlier. The Certic Audit we managed to pass with flying colors. We solved everything. We redeployed to make sure that we would solve everything. And those aspects that we could not solve have been fully and completely mitigated. Besides the Certic Audit and the partnership and the API agreement, we've also been vetted by Chris at DeFi Skeptic. I'm sure you probably have heard about him. We've got about a 92.36 or 32% score. You'll probably find a link in the AMA presentation, I think, that was pasted here. Besides that, we are going to have an AMA on Gempad and Unicrypt. It's going to be a split 50-50 AMA. The funds that are raised on Gempad, part of it will go to centralized exchange liquidity. They'll go straight after we close the pre-sale, after we finalize. And the 100% of what's raised on Unicrypt goes to DEX liquidity. And we will list on the 16th. And another very important aspect is that we have managed, and this deal is signed and we paid a deposit for, to secure a listing with a tier 1 centralized exchange. And this is a massive exchange. And we've managed to secure that listing. And it will happen a week and a half after the DEX listing. And they will also announce it on the 12th of October. So the Unicrypt pre-sale, in principle, should still be running at that time, because the Unicrypt pre-sale, so Gempad opens on the 4th of October, which is tomorrow, at 5 p.m. UTC. And Unicrypt opens on the 6th of October at 5 p.m. UTC. And Gempad is going to be open until the 11th of October, but we've had so much interest in the whitelist, we might sell everything on the whitelist. We've had a lot of people, from the private sale willing to invest. A lot of people have approached us, and we've given quite a few whitelists. The limited amount that we had, but we've also had a lot through competitions, because we have a competition going on for whitelisting. So that's another aspect. So the Gempad one might get filled, but you can still try, obviously. We'll start it tomorrow, and it will be open to the public after whitelist purchases. And then you've got the Unicrypt one, which is going to be on the 6th, and it goes up until the 16th. On the 16th, when it's finalized, we'll also list straight away on DEX once the pre-sale is finalized. So that's kind of how it will unfurl. And then a week and a half later, after the DEX listing, we will list on a tier 1 checks, which will be announced on the 12th of October. So if we don't fill the pre-sale by the 12th of October on Unicrypt, the announcement of that centralized exchange will certainly do that. But I don't expect that to happen, because we've got robust marketing. We've split the pre-sale for a reason, and that reason was to ensure that we have enough exposure. And we've only went with very professional launch pads. I mean, Gempad and Unicrypt have been great. Gempad have been the absolute most professional launch pad I've approached, and I have approached a lot in my efforts to get this project and business off the ground. Now, it occurs to me that I neglected to mention how the business model will work. Well, if you recall, I mentioned that OpenSea has a 2.5% marketplace transaction fee. Well, ours will have a 2% marketplace transaction fee. And the Vemate token will play a central role, and there will be a lot of utility for it. I mean, we have about 6 or 7, I think, utilities planned for the Vemate token within the ecosystem. So people will be able to stake to reduce the marketplace transaction fee from 2% to 1%. They will be able to purchase all sorts of services, as an artist, to promote themselves. They'll be able to purchase it to get analysis tools, or get access to certain events or certain sales, and so on and so forth. So there will be a lot within the marketplace. And the artist I mentioned before will also be able to earn money through a very, very small percentage transaction fee on the marketplace for those tokens. So think about what you get on decentralized exchanges, when you pay 0.3 or 0.1% or something, 0.15%. So that's going to be part of the transaction, so that funds can go to the artist and to the platform for revenue generation, so that we can continue expanding and building upon, expanding the market and building upon what we've built thus far. I think that would conclude what I have to say about the platform. And this is kind of our project and what we've done so far to bring it here. And I'm sure I've missed a few aspects, but we'll probably cover them when we cover questions.
Oh yeah, perfect. Thank you for the presentation. So okay, I want to go touch bases back on the pre-sales that are going on. Well, first of all, you had a private sale. Can you tell us more about the private sale? How much was raised? And I think you mentioned it before, right? And also, what was the discount of private sale versus pre-sale?
So I did. You're right. I did mention it before. It was $250,000, and it was 10% less than what it is in the pre-sale.
You mean they get 10% more tokens?
I guess, if you will, there was still a max buy. We had a max buy, I think, of 5,000 BUSD in the private sale, but they were able to. So a token price in the private sale was 0.0165. 168 BUSD. And in the pre-sale, we've planned it to be somewhere around 0.0185 or thereabouts, because obviously this is pegged to the value of BNB, so it's going to fluctuate a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so 10%, that's not bad at all. So you guys are doing, 1800 BNB hard cap on Gempad and also 1800 BNB on Unicrypt. So when you look on our website and you see that there's 35% pre-sale supply, that is basically half and half, right? One half for Gempad, half for Unicrypt.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So the Gempad one starts in basically almost exactly 24 hours, right? Tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. So almost exactly.
Right. Okay. And the liquidity percentage is both of them. The liquidity percentage is the same for both the pre-sales.
So no. So because like I said earlier, on Gempad, we have to send liquidity to the centralized exchange. I'm afraid I cannot say, because we have an NDA and they don't allow you to say how much you send. It's actually covered by it, but I'm sure it will all be visible on the blockchain when it happens. I'm just not allowed to say. A large chunk of that will go to the centralized exchange, and 100% of what's raised on Unicrypt is going to go to DEX. So everything that is raised on Unicrypt, the whole 1800 BNB, is all DEX liquidity.
Okay. All right. Cool. Awesome. So let's say Gempad fills or meets the soft cap. What's the soft cap? Okay, if hard cap is 1800.
900.
900. Okay, 900. So let's say it fills the soft cap but not the hard cap, or it barely fills the hard cap. It takes a couple days. So then there's issues like you mentioned. If it doesn't fill the Unicrypt, what's the contingency like for liquidity and for all that? Like, what's your plan? Let's say Gempad actually is successful, but the next one, since it is a large amount of BNB, right? You're doing 1800 on both, and the market right now is pretty terrible. So it's a high bar, basically high bar to meet. So let's say the Gempad fails. Gempad successful, Unicrypt is not. What would you do in that case?
That is a good question. I'm as an entrepreneur, I'm a fan of hyper redundancy. So I don't believe in just having one backup. I have several of them. Because of that, the way we set up our marketing plan has been extremely robust. The marketing we've set up right now would have been able to fill 5 times this amount in regular, bull market conditions, or even more than that. At least that's using the most pessimistic values. So we've developed a very robust marketing plan to begin with. Should that not be sufficient, we also have a lot of backup marketing lined up and ready to go at a moment's notice, so that we can create that necessary buying pressure to fill the Gempad pre-sale. So we've got so much redundancy there that should, in principle, not be an option in that sense.
Perfect. And you said you raised 250K, right, for private sale. Have those funds been mostly used, or are they you still have those? Because you said you funded the app with your own money, right? So it didn't really go to development. I'm assuming it mostly went to marketing.
Most of it went to marketing because the marketing has been so incredibly robust. Most of it has already gone on it, and that was my intention to begin with. I financed the development and the running costs of the app itself, And my plan was to use those funds solely for marketing, and most of them have gone to marketing.
Okay. All right, that's good. So I hope you also have some, reserved amount, because it's good to do marketing at, pre-sale, pre-launch, and all that, but you also want to have some of that reserved for post-launch too.
We've got a marketing plan prepared for post-launch. And being a businessman and entrepreneur myself, I know the value of having reserves. It's important to have them, and it's important to be able to make use of them in case of unforeseen circumstances.
All right. And when did you have that private sale? How long ago was this?
This was the way it went. It was in May of this year. And since then, we've been working nonstop on building the project. We were hoping to have the pre-sale sooner, but because of the market conditions, we took a step back and we made the difficult decision to delay the pre-sale, even though it cost me a lot more to work on it. But I think it was the right decision, because during that time, we were able to prove ourselves to VeVe, which I cannot stress how massive they are as a project. We proved ourselves to VeVe, to Ecomi, that we are reliable, we work in good faith, and we're professionals. And we were also able to secure the tier 1 centralized exchange listing. And also polish the app and build it to a level, because at that time, that was the main thrust. I wanted to polish the app more so that VeVe users will be incentivized to start joining it en masse once we start rolling out, the requirements of them holding our token, or the Omi token, to be able to use the premium version.
All right. So about the app, I want to ask, how you're talking about, like, I'm reading the website too, the white paper about what the app can do. So what stage is it now? What can you do with the app currently?
Well, I know that the website says pre-alpha, and I've been meaning to change that for a while. It's no longer pre-alpha. It's a full-fledged app. The app at the moment can set up price alarms, can give you price charts. If you'd like, what I can do is I can do a screen share. I can join from my phone, and I can do a screen share for you. So you can take a look and see what the app can do, if you will.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, just give me a second, please. Let me make sure I'm logged in. Yep, I am. So brilliant. I'm just going to leave here, this chat, and I'll join the other one. And I'll be back in 1 second. Right. So I'm just going to share my screen now. Right. I'm hoping that you're able to see it. Yeah, so this is the landing page. So we've got news at the top. This is, information about the partnership that we have with Ecomi. You can also find information on the Ecomi blog about it, information about our tokenomics and the benefits. You've got here where it says my vault and vault value. So the total value of the vault is $2,026.58. And it shows in here the value. It has gone either up or down in the past 24 hours, and I can change it to, make it 7 days. And it shows how much it's gone up. The reason it's gone up this much is because I've added some items recently. It hasn't really gone up. This is not my real collection. My collection is a bit bigger than this. But it shows you in dollars and percentages. You can see the latest updates, which are the latest collectibles. You can open them, take a look at them. You've got charts here to analyze the price, and it will show you how much the price has been at various stages. You can see details about it here, and you can either add it to your vault, so you can start your vault can start calculating how much money your collection is worth, or you can add it to the wish list. And this is where the interesting stuff happens, because you see all of these notifications here with bubbles. By the way, 1 gem equals $1. So this collectible was $2,250 at one point, $2,699. I've seen collectibles. The highest I've ever seen on the platform was about $30,000, if I'm not mistaken.
And so when we talk about these prices, it's based on the floor price, right, of the whole collection.
Yeah, so this is based on the floor price. These price alarms are based on the floor price of the whole collection as well. So when something hits a certain price, then you can set an alarm, because in essence, people are only interested in when the price goes down to buy, and we are working on putting it when the price goes up as well, but not the floor price itself. It's more complicated to explain. I don't think I should delve too much into these details. Then you've got the market where you can see collectibles or comics, and they've got comics like Amazing Spider-Man. This is just the cover. If you go on VeVe, you can actually read the comic as well. You can add it to wish list, for instance, and then I'm going to my vault. You can also sort based on rarity as well, because they've got different, each magazine, each comic book and each collectible can have different rarities. It goes from common all the way to secret rare. The rarer it is, obviously, the more expensive it is, because there is less quantity of that. Now I'm going to my vault, and we can take a look here and see the total value of my vault. We can see my collectible. See, it hasn't updated yet, but it will update shortly. You can see my collectibles here, and it will show you the total value of my collectibles. I can have them removed, as you could see there. The total, you've got my comics. I can even remove them from the vault. And the most important tool that we put at people's disposal right now, if they go into my wish list here, they tap see all. You see these little bell icons. When they're purple like this, it means an alarm was set. We're due to roll out, because I'm not happy about the interface. I don't think I ever will be happy, even though it's okay-ish. But we're due to roll out a massive upgrade to it soon, and it will improve the user interface. It will make it more intuitive. And when I say soon, I mean this week. It's due to go out by the end of this week, and we're going to have a lot more functions, a lot more alarms as well, and a lot more more usable aspects for VeVe users. We've kept them up until now because we wanted to roll them out at a strategic time so we can garner the necessary interest for the app, so that people can purchase the token for the utility. Now, let's say I want to set up an alarm for this Stellina. I can put the value in at 12. Price drops at 12. Frequency, I can put it always, and it will always do that. Added successfully. Right now, if this item gets listed on the marketplace for $12, I will get an alarm on my phone. Yeah, that's kind of how.
Okay. All right. So that actually looks really awesome, by the way. Like, because that's one thing that I am always struggling with. I have all these NFTs, and like it's hard to track up, what's going up, what's going down. You have to, all the different collections. So the fact that I like the fact that you could like look at your whole collection and you see if it's going up or down. I wish they actually had that for let's say adding all your wallets on like in crypto or something, like MetaMask wallets, or being able to track that too. But okay, so the one big question I have for the app itself is, I know on the website, it's talking about the analysis capabilities and like the trading analysis for the plan, like using different tools. So is there any type of analysis that's currently like there, or like what kind of analysis tools are you planning to add? Just kind of curious, because I trade, I'm a trader myself, so I trade, I'm a day trader, swing trader. So I'm just kind of curious what kind of analysis for the NFTs you're considering.
On the on the Vemate app itself, there was another reason why I did not consider adding more tools, because we had the option to add a lot more data analysis tools in it that would have analyzed the ecosystem, the buying, the purchasing, the amount of purchases that took place. There are lots of indices in the NFT world that could be used in that sense, but there are other members in the community, and there's another one that also has another company, if you will, or a project, because they're not a crypto project, they're a company. They have a platform, a website. It's only web-based, and they also have an API from VeVe, and they do something that complements what we do. So they're not competitors because we don't offer the same thing. And what I didn't want to do, because the VeVe community and the VeVe family is tightly knit, I did not want to go stepping on anybody's toes. I wanted to make sure that I do not implement tools that are in their turf at that moment. Right now, what I'm planning to do is work with them to integrate more data analysis tools like indices, how many have bid like bid values, sellability indices for artists, for collections, for the NFT itself, also profitability that it brought in the past. So key performance indicators such as those are going to be found in the app itself. And there are quite a few things that, and I could probably talk about them for quite a while, but that will be found in the app, and obviously later on in our marketplace, where it will act both as an exchange, and as well as an NFT marketplace, a traditional one. You will have a lot more tools, because obviously you have to analyze the charts as well. So there will be a lot of crypto similar tools in that sense, but they will have an NFT dimension added to it. Because obviously the dynamics are going to be a little bit different. Every time an NFT is taken out of the vault, the total circulating supply drops, because a lot of them get burned, and because that drops, and the value of the NFT grows, and so on and so forth. And it also depends, because they can reinforce each other. Obviously, you have the token, but you have the NFTs that are out of the vault. So if somebody manages to sell that NFT for an incredibly high amount, it will also increase the price of the token as well, implicitly. So it's kind of like it will have a knock-on effect like that, and it will all serve to increase the value that it brings into the project, and that it also allows the artist to benefit from.
All right, thank you. All right, I think I have one more thing to talk about, and that's the token itself. Because so you have the app, you have basically the analysis tools, you have that whole platform, and then you also have the token itself. So like you briefly touched on it before. So like, how does the token, like what is the purpose of the token? How does it integrate with all of this? Like, why do you need the token?
Yeah, we've had this question before, and it is an interesting question, but you if you look at it, the way the token runs, and the fact that the token is there, allows us to set up the whole ecosystem, because it one supports the ecosystem. Two, not only that, but it is also intrinsically linked to it, because a lot of the functions and a lot of the tools and a lot of the aspects that you will be able to make use of within that stage 2 platform, as well as the stage 1, because we've already got a utility for the token, which is not something a lot of projects can say when they launch, because most of them just promise something. If you look at that, you'll be able to see that we've got that utility there, and we've got a lot more planned, and those services and those tools will be payable with the Vemate token, or they will have to stake the Vemate token to be able to get access to certain services and tools as well. And there will be a lot of other spaces. There'll be, we will also NFT. People will create NFTs based on real world assets. So there will be a lot of surprises within the app when it's rolled out.
So you're planning to monetize the app in certain services at least, and you might use the token as staking or payment for that, right? Like, so currently everything's free, but you might introduce some services later on where you need to do certain things like stake the tokens or buy the token or send the token, right?
It may. I don't have any plans to monetize the stage 1 app at the moment. I would like not to, but I left that there just as a contingency in case, things can always change. And I've learned both as an entrepreneur and in the IT business that you never back yourself into a corner. So obviously, if anything changes and the circumstances change, which dictate the need to do that, then it would happen. But I do not envision that happening, because it would not be popular at all with the community, and it will drop the number of users. So I do not want to do that, and I hope I never have to.
Yeah, but what about like revenue generation for the token, like in terms of buybacks or let's say revenue for holders? Are there any plans for that?
Revenue for holders, as in like a sort
Uh,
of a sort of
Let's say like NFT marketplace, if you're able to sell NFTs or with the VeVe, basically what I'm thinking is, let's say if you're a holder of the token, you're basically
like a shareholder. You
owner
could
of the like a shareholder of the company in a
dividends.
way, and you would have dividends or the revenue would go back to the holders in a way. So I'm just wondering if there's anything for that, like basically like what the token is going to be used for any of that other than just the staking itself.
Well, it won't just be staking because services will be possible to use to purchase with that.
Yeah, okay.
But remember, we'll also always have the stage one app, which provides utility to people. So that is also an aspect we provide value for that. We had not considered, the buyback aspect, but it's very fortuitous that you mentioned that today because I was speaking to one of our advisors today, and they actually suggested that we do something like that. It's actually because I've spoken to the advisor. It's now on the table to introduce a sort of a reward to the token holders besides all of the utilities and all of the functionalities and the value that we would bring through all of those utilities I've mentioned before. This could be an additional one as well, as in where some of them, especially if they hold a certain amount or over a certain threshold, could receive a sort of dividends, if you will. So this has now been put on the table just earlier today, a few hours ago. It was this morning that I spoke to the advisor.
Yeah, because the problem with with BC space or just DeFi in general is a lot of these holders or investors, they're very impatient. Like some of them want to get their 2x and out, or if they as soon as they start losing immediately, let's say it dips below launch price or pre-sub price, they start panic selling, and then everyone else starts panic selling. So it could be very dangerous. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good thing to have some kind of incentives for holders, not just staking itself. When you have like 40% of the supply as set aside for staking, and then you just dump the tokens on the holders and then end up selling them and crashing the price anyways. So I do want to point out, I do really like your token distribution, which is actually the type of distribution that I kind of would like to see, and a lot of tokens do not have this. So I'm kind of curious, who advised you on these numbers?
Well, it was a long and arduous journey. It wasn't just one person. We've had quite a few. But if you were to look at a contributor, if you look at a main contributor, if you will, it was a mix between advisors that we spoke to in the US. They were, kind of like subcontracted, if you will. They advised the project for a few months, a few months back. And also Alex. Alex is one of our advisors, and it was built between me, Alex, and the advisors from the US that we contracted, a few months ago.
Okay, yeah. Because honestly, when I see projects, saying 10% for pre-sale, and they want to raise like 1,000 BNB, I laugh at that. Like, okay, yeah, so you want to take investors' money, give them 10%, and then you have 15% for the team, and like you don't even have any utilities. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a no-brainer that I'm not gonna invest in that kind of crap. But when I see, you do have like a huge percentage, 35% for pre-sale, 20% for liquidity. I mean, it's a fairly substantial amount, and like the other, like the 7.5 staking and partnerships, I really like that because, like I said, when I see like 40% staking or like 40% for the play to earn, I mean, that's just going to be a dump fest. So the fact that you guys have these numbers, I actually really like this, and I think it's definitely fairly safe. And
That was the full
basically,
rationale.
yeah,
Sorry, go on.
yeah, it's safe and anti-dump proof in a way. I mean, if people still panic sell, you can still, but I'm just saying, the liquidity is fairly healthy versus all the other wallets, and the pre-sale amount is actually basically like if you're gonna sell it to investors, right? at the ground zero, they expect to have a good price. So like I said, when you give them like 5% of the tokens or 10%, and they're taking all the risk, I mean, that's like a slap in the face, like.
It's a hyperinflationary token. That wouldn't make any sense. In fact, I'm so glad that you said this, because I've had this conversation with so many people saying, oh, why are you selling so many tokens? Why are you not selling less? Well, how would I justify that price to begin with? Because this is not, I'm not looking to do, a degen or a meme token or anything like that. This is a real business that's being built here. And it's very important for me that this business has success, because I've invested the most in this. So what the funds that have been invested in the private sale are dwarfed by the amounts that I've actually invested myself into this project. And whatever would be raised in the pre-sale would again not be an amount that would make me be over the moon for the fact that we raised it. Simply because I've invested more than this in the project so far. My main interest is for the long-term viability of this, and I know that we have a very, very good shot at it. Why? Because I've built dozens of platforms over the years, and not a single one didn't have success. My IT company built the last one before we started working on this project was a real estate and goods valuation platform. And what that did for the client was to reduce their work time by 700%, so they could do things 700% faster, and their cost by 500% implicitly. So this is kind of like what we specialize in, what my company specializes in. And I know that because we know what we're doing, the end result is going to be successful, and it's going to have a lot of traction with the public, because it solves several real pain points. And it has a traditional revenue model coupled with the crypto revenue model. And on top of that, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the staking, because not many people pick up on that. In fact, my interest was not necessarily the staking aspect, because my interest is to give people value and to give people an incentive through the value that the project and the business brings into it. Not necessarily, come here and stake and you get some money at the end of it, especially if I don't find staking necessarily, when you don't have a business model behind it, to be particularly sustainable. You have to have some sort of revenue generation to be able to offer some sort of staking. Otherwise, you can only do it for a short period of time, and it wouldn't make any sense to people to do that. And that 7.5% that you see in the staking partnerships and referrals, the partnership with VeVe, with Ecomi, not VeVe, the partnership with VeVe actually is going to come out of that. We have 2% of the token supply, which is 3 million tokens, are going to be used for people who have held $200 in OMI tokens and validated via our app for 1 year. And we will exchange those OMI tokens for Vemate tokens after 1 year. And all the OMI tokens that we accumulate after that year will be sent to Ecomi to burn every time somebody makes a purchase on the VeVe marketplace. That's part of the agreement we have, the partnership agreement with Ecomi.
All right, perfect. Just quickly, just curious, nothing to do with your project, but you said that people were some people were saying like, why are you selling so much tokens? I mean, what else would you do? Like, what would you just reserve them for free wallets in a way? Because the less tokens you sell, the more of them are basically free tokens. They're eventually going. And the thing is, if you're selling your company as a long-term project, and and you're saying, oh, don't worry about all those tokens, they're locked up. They're locked up for 2 years. The 90% of the supply is going to be vested over 2-5 year period of time. But the thing is, investors that are looking long-term, they're looking at that, because you have to assume all those tokens eventually will be unlocked, right? So if you're only selling like 5-10% of the tokens, and those other tokens, they're not paid for. Basically, it's literally free tokens. And you know what's going to happen when those tokens get unlocked? You'll see a 90% drop in prices or higher. And that's why you see all these other projects where they have huge amount of tokens set aside. Eventually, you see huge dump fest. So, I mean, I have no idea what those guys are smoking, but like, I feel the way you did it is definitely the good way to go.
I'm so glad to hear that you don't know what a relief that is for me. I've had to contend with people, and I've had a video call just the other week with an influencer, and they kept telling me, "Oh, I'm not happy with your tokenomics and this and that." And I argued everything, and I said, "Look, this is how a traditional business model works." And on top of that, exactly, I said the exact same thing. What else would I do with them? Keep them? What that would just result in a decrease in the price and in potential liabilities for any investor. So it just doesn't make any sense for me to actually do that. So I try to strike the perfect balance between making this kind of like a publicly listed company, if you will, because there is an equivalency here, even though it's not the same thing, obviously. We try to do this, and we try to give the power to the people, and to also show, look, you have a lot of reason to trust us because we have all of this utility before we even launched. Look at all this utility in the app. We have a product out there that's functional, and people are using it. We have 8,000 people on it, growing at 1,000 per week. If those 8,000 people hold $100 in Vemate tokens, that's 800,000 just from them. 800,000 market cap just from these people.
Yep, exactly. Because I actually I had a project that was asking me for consultation, and they were the people that gave them the original tokenomics. They were saying something like, yeah, 5% for pre-sellers or whatever, 10%. I mean, their distributions were horrible, right? And I told them, guys, this is all wrong. They didn't even know about liquidity. They didn't even know that you need to add liquidity. Like, where's your liquidity tokens? You have no tokens set aside for liquidity. I'm like, so these guys that ended up advising them, they basically, I'm not gonna name the names, but they ended up like launching too, because they were like a game project. And yeah, like 95%, basically it was a scam, 95% drop. So, I mean, definitely, I feel like you have to show, the numbers have to look good for investors. So I'm definitely saying that, like, you guys, I think what you guys have is what I would like to see. Anyway, let's go move on real quick to the taxes. So taxes is the last thing I want.
But yeah, I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
I wanted to correct you, Andrei. You cannot drop 700%. You can drop 7 times, but you cannot drop lower than 100%, right? It can grow 700%. But you said that about this company that it's using less time to do something, right? If it drops 7 times, it means that it drops around 86%.
Yeah.
I just wanted to correct you.
I think it depends on the point of reference, because if you look on a like-for-like basis, yes.
No. You cannot drop lower than 100%, because 100% drop is to 0, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it depends on how you're looking at it, but yeah.
That's my brain,
It's kind of like if you drop 90%, it's the same, and then to get back, you have to do 1,000%, gain to get back to the same spot. So 99% drop is the same as 100 times 100x gain to get back, or 10,000%. So yeah, it just depends. But I usually say when I'm talking about dropping, I usually do say like 7x or 10x, whatever. Like 10x drop is basically 90% drop. So yeah, but anyways, moving on.
If your total is the initial price, then obviously you can use that rationale, like all the major websites do.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So, anyways, moving on to the taxes. The tax is only 5%. So 5% buying and 5% for selling.
Not buying. No, it's only 5% selling. Buying, there's no tax for buying. It's
buying 0. Okay, that's good. Okay, so liquidity pool 2%, charity, marketing, and development. So my first question is, I know you guys have your team tokens set aside, and you're interested in being successful with your app, with your company, above all else, right? And you actually invested a substantial amount of money already into this project yourself. So with only, let's say an 8% team tokens, there I'm assuming will be vested, and there's no real like actual taxes except 1% for development. How are you planning to basically earn an income or pay yourself back at least on your initial investment? And like, or basically you have also a huge team, right? How is everyone planning to get, paid in a sense?
Well, besides the centralized exchange liquidity, there will be some funds left over, which will be used for marketing and maintaining the project. That's one bit, but obviously that's not going to be enough. There will be, like you said, that fee there, and there will also be the fact that I also will support the project. I'm happy to not get paid, and I haven't gotten up until now because, like I said, until the second phase platform will be rolled up. And it starts performing as well as it's intended to do. That was my rationale going into this, because between the funds that are left over from after we send the centralized exchange liquidity, which will be used, like I said, for marketing, but it will also be used to support the project partially. This tax that we have and between these two and the fact that I'm supporting the project, we would comfortably be able to see this through.
Okay, perfect. See, honestly, I like your project already, because this is almost like a reverse money grab. Because every other project I see is like a money grab, like I said about the distribution, where the team gets like more percentage than the liquidity or whatever, and like they have no money, they expect to have investors pay for everything, which is basically means they have no skin in the game. And I feel like the projects I want to invest in are the ones that are like a real business, where the actual developers are risking their own funds. So it's in their best interest to have a successful project. But if you're just collecting private sale to market pre-sale, and then you're using pre-sale, and then you have zero of your own funds up front, you don't care. I mean, honestly, you don't care if your project fails, right? You already made your money up front from pre-sale, 30%, whatever it is, and the rest goes to liquidity. That's why a lot of these projects fail. It's because the devs themselves are never really intended to have a successful project. It's almost like a rinse and repeat. Let it fail on purpose, make some kind of excuse, and then like 2 weeks later start another pre-sale. So the fact that you guys have substantial investment in this yourself, you believe in this project, that's actually a very big, very, very big like green flag, like a big pro. So
I think I agree with you, and thank you for that. That's really good to hear, and I'm glad that this is observed and it's seen. But we've also have all of these endorsements, which also aim to reinforce all of that, because the reason why I believe they endorsed us and they were willing to work with us in this sense is because of all these things that you're revealing now, and because it all makes sense in that manner, if you will. It made sense for them, and they could see that this is a reliable long-term project, that it will be here, in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and so on and so forth. And it will work for as long as it can work, and as long as it's viable to work.
Yeah, definitely. So I have one more question, at least for now, and then after that we can open the community. So concerning the charity, the 1% charity, like what is that for, like the purpose of that? Because honestly, let me tell you, like, a lot of times when I see charity tokens or charity taxes, it's almost like a turnoff. But you guys are not really, this is not a charity project, right? So this is 1% taxes. So I just want to know, like, what is the purpose of it? Because like I said, a lot of times seeing charity is actually like a negative thing for us, because all these charity tokens rug, like scam. They're basically scamming the name of charity in a way. So it's almost like a negative, like almost a bad taste in investors.
You see that with charities as well. As an entrepreneur myself, and running in the marketing business, I've worked with a lot of different types, and you see a lot of real charities that are not actual charities. They only aim to benefit the person running it or the people running it. So you see that with real charities indeed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Should I proceed to explaining all of that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is actually something that's more of to me, that this is more of a personal thing. The reason why is, and I don't normally like to discuss it or bring it to the foreground. For some reason, everybody in every AMA brings it up, and I end up having to explain myself in that sense. Because obviously, like you said, probably it poses a red flag. But if you go on our website at Vemate and you look at in the footer, you will see a logo that says the Eden Reforestation Project. Now, quite a few years ago when I was in university, I did a few projects on the Eden Reforestation Project, and they are one of the most legit ecosystem restoration charities. What they do is they go into very poor areas and they help people who have been, neglected. They don't have access to a lot of things, and they give them a job to try to restore these ecosystems. And I really liked what they did back then. They're one of the biggest worldwide, and they're 100% legit. I mean, they're really big. And the reason for that is because I also have children myself, so it's important for me to do this. It's actually, I genuinely care about this. I mean, I've got an app on my phone, and every single day I spend, I won't share my screen anymore, but I'll just show it, on camera. I hope that you can see it. I've got every day I kind of like, oh no, you cannot see anything. Sorry. Yeah, it's this camera. Anyway, I've got every day I watch some ads so I can plant a tree to offset my carbon footprint and things like that. So it's something that I want to do because it's like I said, it's important for me. I also have children. I want to leave something better, and it genuinely means something for me. And I don't want to do it because most of them just do it most companies do it, for the fact that it saves face for them. It gives them a sort of a marketing value, but that's long gone now. For me, this actually has real meaning. That's one aspect. The other aspect is it was important for me to not just be carbon neutral, but carbon negative. So we donate enough to offset our carbon footprint by 100%, but also take another 100% out of the circuit. So but that being said, the last time we made a donation, we donated so much that we've offset our carbon footprint by 33,000%. So we kind of like, this is kind of like what we do. And that's why we're on their website as well, because we were always active with them and we donate there. And if you go on to the Eden Reforestation Project and you look under the partners list, I think we were on page 16 last time I checked. You'll be able to find Vemate there, and the only way we could be there is if we donated. So that 1% really goes there because it's not validated by us; it's validated by them as well.
Perfect. Honestly, like I feel that a charity thing like this could actually, even if you're technically paying 1% to them, it could actually bring more marketing than even like some marketing taxes, because if people know that you're actually legit, you're actually donating to charity, you're actually, it's all transparent, everyone sees that, it could be a big thing in the long run, right? Like the fact that you guys are actually like a crypto project is actually donating to charity, not just saying it they will and scamming, but they're actually keeping their word, and 3 years later they donated this amount of X amount of dollars, or this amount of trees have been planted. So I think that's actually, honestly, like that's not a bad idea. Like, that's actually pretty awesome.
If you'll permit me, I can actually share the link, I think, that goes to Vemate on the edenprojects.org website. Where should I?
Yeah, you should be able to post it. I think you should be able to post it.
Okay, let me just do that now. I've got so many groups, even though I've got folders, I still struggle to find them. Yeah, so I've just posted it there, and you'll be able to see, what we do there and how much we donate. You'll probably, as the project grows, you'll probably see the tier amount grow, because we've only made one donation so far. So obviously we're in this bracket now. As donations increase, the amounts there, the bracket that we are going to be under will grow. Now, it's important to know that I really don't care about the marketing value that this brings. It's to me, it's important that I do it, and that's it. And every business venture, even though people may feel that like it does not bring them value, the fact that you save the environment and you've got air to breathe in the future, I guess that should be value enough, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Community time. Anyone has any questions? Gabriel, I know you have a couple questions.
No, I wanted to correct before this.
Oh yeah. You don't have any, but you always have a question. You always have a question after I'm done. But I have a question.
What do you mean?
I'm like,
that's my brain. That's not an issue, Andre. That's my brain. I work with numbers. That's why it's not working for me. So that's why you had to say.
It's all right.
Good evening, Andre. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Like, I want to ask, how do I get whitelist for the project?
Well, we are
I
actually offering 10 whitelists to anti-ruggers. So they will determine how these are divided and who gets them. But we also have a competition for those who are not lucky enough to get picked by anti-ruggers. We have a Glean competition. If you permit me, I can paste. I can paste
Yeah,
that.
you could.
There you go.
Yeah, you could paste it. But by the way, the person that asked, your name is Ihidbo Izundu, right?
Yes, Inyedibo. I'm a
All
Nigerian
right.
guy.
Awesome. So you're the first one that asked, man. Like, you'll be getting a whitelist spot. Just DM me your wallet.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I made it easy for him.
Like, what's your profile link so that I send
Boyakus,
you? Okay.
let me send it to here. I'm gonna type in chat. All right. Any more questions, guys? Anyone has any questions? Well, I guess I have one more question. You said you guys had a fairly large, substantial private sale, and you said the marketing is enough to fill like 5 times more or whatever. So what kind of marketing are you doing? I know you guys are doing AMAs, AMA tours. Like, what I see, like, you guys had articles up on your website, on at different places. And would you say that these articles, for example, let me see, where was it?
Yeah, the articles aren't our main thrust. The main thrust are going to be the AMAs, the YouTube reviews, the influencers that we speak to, the endorsement from VeVe themselves, from Ecomi as well. I did not, because I don't want to push my luck. They've been generous enough, and they are some of the best people I've ever had to deal with in the business world. And I didn't want to, push my luck and be brazen and ask for more help, to fill out the pre-sale or because it wouldn't be okay, to ask your partners to do that, especially at this initial stages. At these initial stages, when the risk is so great, it wouldn't be fair to them for me to put them in a position where they would have to say no to me simply because the risk is too great in this sense. In my view, obviously, the risk is not great because it's a legitimate long-term project, but they cannot know that fully. Even though they gave us their trust, they still have to exercise caution. And I'm sure everybody would exercise caution regardless of the level of partnership that they have with anybody. You still have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I also just curious about these articles that you had, like on American Business Times, FinTech. Do you think those are actually effective in getting the word out, getting people in? Because
No.
crypto marketing is somewhat it's difficult to do to the actual public, right? You could have a billboard on the most busiest interchange, or New York Times Square, but most people don't even know what it is. That even though they see it, they're not gonna even download MetaMask, figure out what Telegram is, go find your channel, all that stuff. So it's not really targeted. It's not really targeted. So I would say it's not very. So what is your opinion on these articles, for example?
Oh, well, coming from traditional marketing, I can tell you a little bit, and I'm not going to delve too much into the details, but there's something called brand consistency. So those articles bring no value apart from brand consistency. What that means is that when somebody sees the article in one place and then they see it in another, and they see the logo and the company mentioned, and then they go on somewhere else and they see it over there as well, it just creates that feeling that company's been there forever and it's a reliable company because look, they're everywhere. There must be a reason why they're here, and it will kind of it's a little switch in your brain. It tricks your brain that you've been here for longer than you have.
Yeah, it's like a subconscious thing, right? Like you see it, you don't even realize it. Then wait a minute, it's like deja vu. Like I've seen it somewhere else, and then boom, it's
your brain to feel and think like, oh, these guys have been here forever. Yeah, I trust them. I see no reason why, because they've been here around for a long time. Why wouldn't I trust them? Even though they've literally just appeared on the scene. I'm sure you probably had that with a lot of, up and coming companies. They just popped up all of a sudden. You didn't know anything about them. They didn't exist up until that point. And they come up with this aggressive and multi-leveled marketing campaign. And then it just feels like they've been there forever. That's kind of like the approach that we're trying to get here. besides, we went for these traditional marketing that doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't bring people, but it helps with brand consistency in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So any more questions, guys? I'll give a minute if anyone has any questions.
I have a question. I don't know if I missed that. How you actually will earn money? Because I think you said you don't consider to monetize the first version, right? Of the application.
That is correct, but we spoke at length because Boria asked me a couple of times about it when we actually spoke at length in it. I'm not sure if this AMA was recorded.
Okay.
So we're going to have a marketplace transaction fee, and there's also going to be a very, very small 0.15%, something like that, transaction fee for the tokenized NFTs as well. Fractionalized and tokenized NFTs. Every time a transaction is carried out, there will be this very, very minute fee that part of it will go to the artist and a part will go to the platform as well. So between that 2% and that fractional transaction fee, that's where the revenue will be generated. And to give you context again, OpenSea was able to generate $14 billion in revenue last year with only 500,000 users and a 2.5% marketplace transaction fee. Now, we plan to have millions of users, so you can do the math.
Yeah, and also I would like to point out that the development tax is only 1%, but you also have to realize the lower the tax, the more volume you're actually going to have. So you got to look at the tax as a portion of the total tax. So 1% out of 5. That's 20%. 20% tax is going to development, which could be used to pay the team, which most likely will be, right? Paying the team. There's also 1% marketing. So you have to look at the taxes not only as the percentage, but as a percentage of the total tax. And honestly, let me tell you, 1% of a tax when the total is 5% is a lot better than 1% when the total is 20%, because your volume will be that much higher. Because the lower the tax you have, total tax, the higher your volume is going to be. And so that 1% is a lot more valuable than 1% when your tax is 20% and you barely have any volume, or people are not buying and selling because, they need to make like 30%, price rise just to break even. But, when your tax is only 5% because there's 0% buy tax, and, this could be traded a lot, swing traded or whatever, 5% is not that crazy to, even gain it daily. So I feel like there's high potential for active trading on this token to where the 1% is actually fairly huge.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was also the rationale. And besides, the main thrust is to set this up as a business. So the token is meant to support the business, and not vice versa as well. Because the token is going to act like shares in the business, if you will. It's not going to be, the business will obviously help the token in the way, in the utility that it gives. Maybe I didn't express myself when I said not vice versa, but I didn't express myself properly. But what I meant is that in my view, in my mind, yeah, the tokenomics are important. The token is important, but it's only 20% of a project if you do not have anything behind it. And that is the mistake that a lot of people do in crypto, to believe that this is not the case. And I've had that with many people who were, shaking their heads and saying, "Oh well, I disagree. I don't think that's true," and so on and so forth, because they didn't acknowledge how important it is to actually have something functional behind that project. If you do not have anything, that project is only there for the whole of 20 seconds, and it's gone after that. After it enriched mostly the people who created it, in my view, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Any more questions, guys? I do like I said, I do like the taxes. I do believe that a lower tax will actually provide you more income from tax than a super high tax, because maybe your tax is 4 times lower. Maybe it's 5% instead of 20% round trip, but you might have 10 times the volume. It's all about finding a good balance between your volume and your taxes. Yeah, Gabriel, you had any more comments? anyways, we could probably wrap it up. I think we covered everything fairly well. So you want to do like a conclusion?
I'm thinking if
I think he was talking to me, Gabriel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gabriel, sorry, your chances are up.
I think he wanted me to wrap it up. But yeah, thank you, though. I appreciate the enthusiasm. And if you have any more questions, we would be happy. I also am active on the group. Even though I'm very busy these days, I'll do my best to try to throw an eye out there and give responses. I give the best responses, by the way. The other guys don't. Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to thank Boryakos and thank the anti-ruggers community for being so kind as to put up with me for all this time, yapping away at you. And I know I waffle sometimes. I talk a lot, as you can see. So I appreciate you having me here and lending me your ear and your attention for this long. And I'm truly grateful for that. And I hope to see all of you in the future. Second of all, I believe that if what I told you now made sense to you, and if you, if what I said, what I told you, made sense, I believe that Vemate would be a project for you, and you could potentially come on board. You can come, you can come over on our community, and we can have a further chat. If you're still not convinced about what we can do and how reliable and professional we are, and how serious and legitimate this project is, besides being doxed, having a legal entity, having all of these partnerships and having all of these aspects lined up that should, in essence, in theory, ensure the long-term viability of the project. If that is not enough, I would happily wait for you, on our group, and I'd happily reply to you. We hold AMAs there regularly, and we've got loads going on these days. And if you're not convinced, I've actually seen familiar faces. Like I think Chief Zadi, for instance, I think I saw him in an AMA yesterday as well. So people can also be, go to the same AMA with the same person multiple times to see if they're consistent. I'm sure you probably see me tweaking my analogies a little bit, but apart from that, just to help people better understand. But apart from that, you always hear the same thing because I've got nothing to hide. And whenever I do an AMA, I make sure that I tell people I don't need any, I don't want to know what you're going to ask me, and I don't want to have any talking points or anything like that, because I believe that I can answer pretty much any question that comes as long as it makes sense, argumentatively, because you do have a lot of people, especially doing FUD, FUD. They pretend not to understand, and they simply disregard aspects of your argument, and they keep, going with their argument and so on and so forth. So, yeah. But thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man. Good day, and thanks for coming here for the AMA.
I have a question.
No.